the Mariners game was going to start right in the middle.
I'm not even gonna watch the Mariners. I'm so
You want to see them give up another?
Dude, they lost 16-6 yesterday. I'm done with those guys.
Yeah.
Good morning, happy Sunday, everyone. We have our special guest, Iman. Like, who's that one, dude? Iman. What was that? Anyway, early 2000s, late 90s, hip hop artist. Pickles is back. I am back. Yeah, I watched kind of some new stuff or current events or whatever. Manuel and I, we watched Spider-Man last night with the fam and all that stuff. It's pretty fun. Manuel, what did you think of the movie, like at a scale of 1 to 10?
I think it's pretty close to the first one. The first one I'd give a 10 out of 10 because it's pretty solid story. Mm-hmm. It introduced Miles really well. And the way they told the story and introduced every other character was awesome. This one, without any spoilers, I think it's up there, but shit, I'm gonna spoil it if I say anything else. Does it matter? Does anybody care if we spoil?
You guys I guess just be broad about it. Jason, have you even seen it yet?
What? Spider-Man? No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait until it comes out on digital.
Yeah. Tell your audience to go like this for a little bit while we talk about it. I don't know, but
yeah, probably don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I guess just rank it. 1 through 10.
Well, I would give it like a solid 8 because it there's a lot of good things that came out of this film.
Yeah,
but you know what they're trying to do for the next one, so you're like, okay, all right. It left us at a good spot, but there was no like real closure. So
right.
I'll wait till the next one to rank those two movies together. I think.
Sure. Do you think that your boys are more excited for the next movie or the next video game?
Well, the next video games was kind of announced ahead of them watching this film, so they were already excited about that, and they knew there was more of that coming, and they liked the Miles Morales on the PS5 or the Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, so they're going to continue to play that. I think they were just more excited to see the next chapter of this film franchise. So probably the movie versus the video game. The video game is just there, and they're going to continue to play it. And when they said there was a new one coming, they were excited. But when they pushed the film because I think of COVID or whatever, they were more excited when they knew the actual date for the film than the video game.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Will? I caught the Lost Cause Collective yesterday. Sorry I couldn't make it live, but just catching up on your guys' show from yesterday. Jason, whatchamacallit? What was I gonna ask you? So we're doing a little different of a different show today. We always try and do comic book based, like kind of like some type of way to incorporate comic books, but not very specific to comic books now. And the reason I brought Manio to the show was, one, he's my new cousin-in-law. I married his cousin last weekend, and we had a great time. And he actually met Jason for the first time live and referenced him as Pickles. He's no longer Jason. He's straight on Pickles.
It was Mr. Pickles. It was very
Mr. Pickles. Mr. Pickles. I literally told everyone, like, do not call him Jason. His name is Pickles for now. But, so yeah, and then also, like, whenever we like just kind of meet up and stuff, and especially with the boys, like, we're always like, oh man, let's check out video games. And remember, we went to that store in Redmond, that little like video game spot, and it was like my old basement / bedroom with all the like different Nintendo accessories and like just the old school stuff. And so like whenever I ask questions about video games, I always ask you like, oh, what do you think of this game, or like, blah blah blah, or like the newer ones because you're boys and all that stuff. So thanks for joining us this morning. We'll try and keep it short and quick and all that stuff, but because I don't know like a ton about video games, like the actual like playing like a lot of them or whatever. So yeah, that's why we want to bring you on. And then Jason and I'm basically like our friendship is based off around Final Fantasy 7 and all that stuff, but more so recently we've kind of commingled with video games and stuff, comic books. So
nope.
Anyway,
nope. The only reason why I like you is because of Final Fantasy 7.
You're
outside of that. I hate you guys.
Yeah, fuck you. Anyway,
well, that's the background, right? Final Fantasy there.
Yeah, it's a background from I think it's a strategy. Jason's favorite thing, the strategy guide. Jason, so Manuel, Jason always gives me crap because like I always buy the strategy guide for every RPG because I don't want to miss any of the side quests. I want like 100% completion every game. And
Yeah.
so when I bought Final Fantasy 7, I'd be playing the game. And I'd be like, oh, hold on, let me get the strategy guide out. And he would just nod his head at me.
I think I'm with Jason, man. It kind of feels like cheating. Unless you're really stuck somewhere and you're like, I've done everything I thought I'm supposed to. I can't get past this one thing. Then
right.
Hit up the strategy guide. Other than that, I want to explore. I want to figure out myself.
Not me, man. I need the cliff notes of the video game. Right. So.
Nothing wrong being prepared. Nothing wrong being prepared.
Yeah. And I will say, like now, like I wish I kept those strategy guides because they go for not big money, but like you buy a strategy guide for like say $20. They go for like there's one specific Final Fantasy one that goes for like 3 figures, so like 100 to 150 raw and like in bad condition, all that stuff. So anyway, cool. And I showed you guys already got Zelda and all that stuff. So let's do our little intro. Jason loves his intro so much. 3, 2, 1. Cool. And if you guys are not following, subscribing us on YouTube, please do so. I do thank the 7 live today. We will try and do a giveaway. If we get up to 25, I'll give away this free digital card. So let your friends know about it. If not, then I'll just do a giveaway regardless of something later down in the show. But so today we are talking about video games, kind of the market for video games and the comparisons for comic books. Let me just get this all right. So I haven't shown this list to you guys, obviously. I want to kind of keep it a surprise and just if you guys haven't played these games, it's like totally cool. But I've sure had like at least had a little bit of knowledge about them. But I hope you guys enjoy this list. And let's get into it. Presentation mode. Okay, cool. All right. So game number 1. We only got 9 games today, so
only 9.
Well, I didn't know how in depth we wanted to go into these guys, but my first one is probably like a favorite of mine when I upgraded from the DOS computer to like the Windows 97, I want to say, computer. But I found World of Warcraft, but I didn't play World of Warcraft. Did you guys play World of Warcraft at all?
I did for a little bit back on the PC.
Yeah,
in the late 90s, but it wasn't my favorite. There was a lot more people that were a lot better at this game. I compared it to Age of Empire and what was the other one? That Red Zone. But they're all strategy games like this where you build up your armies and then you let them go fight. It wasn't something that was accessible to me. So when I did get a chance to play it, it was like on someone else's PC for a little bit.
Got you.
And I built up a little army and had a little fight and got my butt kicked, and then I kind of stopped playing it because it was in the same vein as Red Alert. Oh, that's what it was. Red Alert.
Yeah, Crimson, Command and Conquer.
Command and Conquer. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it was similar, but it had a lot more fantasy, of course, with this type of game. By the time I tried to get into it, it was like on someone else's PC on limited time, so I just would play it for a bit. I knew how to play it. Played it for a bit, and that was it. It wasn't what I would consider a hardcore fan of this one.
Yeah, and Jason, you said you never played like World of Warcraft.
No, and it's weird too because like looking back on it, like these ones here, like World of Warcraft, maybe not so much, but like these games seem like they would have been up my alley too, just because I'm a big, like as far as board games, I always liked playing Risk and Castle Risk, and this is kind of like essentially a computerized like live action kind of version of that. So I would have thought that I would have been more into it, but for whatever reason, just never got into it.
Yeah, dude. I played the crap out of this game. I think when I met Dragon's Den, this is when I started playing like strategy games, and so like Command and Conquer, Warcraft. This wasn't the same vein, but Civilization.
Age of Empires.
Age of Empires. I never played that on the PC. Like on a PC, I played on a Apple. So like years down the road, it was like kind of went back in time. StarCraft came after this one as well, but Warcraft was definitely my favorite like strategy game. Like you click on like the little helper, the worker dudes, and they would say something different each time. I don't know if you guys got into it, but like, and there, like my favorite character was the paladins. They were badass, man. Like, you'd have to build a church and then like a barracks and like I don't know whatever. But this was definitely like I spent hours on end playing this game, and this was back in the day when like, do you remember like you'd go into like a software etc. or like electronics boutique and they'd have boxes of like PC games and they were just lined up on the walls, but like you just get this little CD and like maybe like an instructions manual, and that's basically it. But
oh yeah,
but yeah, you remember those?
Box.
Yeah,
and you're just like
huge
you get
boxes.
in there, it's like here you go.
There was like a Warcraft treasure chest, and it had all three like video games in like one big thing. I'd pay money for that. But anyway, I found a sealed one for $1,900, which I think is actually not a bad buy if you're a collector, but very niche. And the only comic book I could find, which went for pretty good money, it was a 9.8 from 2007. This is based off the World of Warcraft, not so much Warcraft, but it went for $300. It was a Wildstorm imprint, so I don't know why they put this comic book out, but I think 3-7, one of those years. I can't remember. I did these slides this morning, so I apologize. But yeah, and then Babbage's, dude. Dragon's Den and Wade. I don't know what Babbage's was back in the day, but it's supposedly it was this old video game store in Bellevue that merged with GameStop. So yeah, there was a bunch like in the Seattle, Edmonds area, there was like a bunch of these like little like computer stores, basically, like a bunch of little GameStops, but they were all independent in it. It wasn't just like GameStop just took them over. But I remember there was this one place in Alderwood Mall. Jason, I don't know, remember, it was Software Etc. Do you remember that place? Yeah, dude, that was like my spot, man. And I remember anyway, but I'm rambling. But yeah, anyway. But I never went to the one. I never went to Bellevue Square until like 98. I don't know why.
Well, I just remember that, and they had the CD shops was always like a place to hang out too, because you could, oddly enough, go listen to music before you purchased it, and people would just hang in there on the headphones and like scan those things. I remember them being frustrating as shit too, because sometimes you couldn't
they wouldn't work.
get it to play what you wanted to. You're just like, damn it.
Or some mofo was like listening to like the whole CD like for 3 hours, just and you're just waiting in line to listen to the next one.
Did you ever like turn it all the way up and be like, dude, like hand it to your buddy, be like, dude, you gotta check this out, and then like have it paused and then just like blast them out?
Did you do that to me back in the day, dude?
I don't know.
You probably did, dickhead. Anyway,
the best reaction I still have in my head is from that crane fly.
Shut up.
That will always live rent free in my head.
Back to the slides. Anyway. So I didn't put Final Fantasy in here, but I did put probably my number 2 favorite video game of all time, Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation. Fellas, I'm pretty sure both of you guys played this game, correct?
Yeah.
Pickles? Manyo?
Oh, dude, I played the original Metal Gear Solid so many times.
I know. And we talked about this game before. I think we talked about it on other video game podcasts we've done before. But Manyo, what is your favorite Metal Gear game of the 15 they put out? What's your favorite one?
I had to say the one you have on display here on the PlayStation, because it was a guided game, meaning you had to get to the next thing, but how you got there was totally up to the player, and it blew our minds, man. You can go and like hide, you can go and take people out, put them to sleep, you can hide the people. They had a bunch of like little details that the maker of this game took and put into it. And it with discovery and over time, you find out there was things you could do. Like one of the things that blew our minds is if you pull up your gun to go shoot, wait, where's the camera right here? And then you release the trigger on your controller very slowly, he doesn't shoot, right? But if you let go fast, he shoots. Because if you already pressed it and he's got his finger on the trigger, he will shoot the enemy. And if you let go of it slowly, he won't shoot, right? That was something that you would only discover if you're playing around with that game, right? And that was like one small thing. Plus, the game and the storyline was really good on its own, and we couldn't stop playing it. This is also one of the games that was single player, but everybody in your friend group took a turn, right, playing, and everybody in my group understood how to play the game. So when it was their turn, until you die and they call for Snake again, Snake, no, right? It was someone else's turn. You're like, you died, sucker. Now I get to try, right? Yeah. And everybody was excited to take a turn because this game was that exciting. So this would have to be my favorite. I think I forget which one it was in the PlayStation 3.
That was my second favorite one.
Yeah, that one was a close. It had like similar feel to something like this, and that one I actually did play for a while until I no longer had PlayStation games to purchase, but. Yeah, the first one for sure. The first one on the PlayStation 1 for sure was my favorite.
Yeah, and like I totally forgot about this, but Wade put out pretty good. Metal Gear's Bananas having to plug the controller into the second port to beat a boss.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I remember there was like little clues you'd have to do, and what was the other thing that I thought was tight?
Like even talking to your guy on that.
Yeah. You go to the right station, and then there's at one point in the game where you're like. They're listening on, and your doctor buddy, I forgot his name. He's like, he figures it out, and it's like, Snake, they're in the room. You have to get out. And then like, you're like, what the hell? And then it pops back to the game. There's like 5 dudes around you. Right. So the drama of the game, it's the first movie type video game I would say Resident Evil, which I didn't put on this list, which now I think I should have put on the list. But Resident Evil and this game are probably the 1 and 2 like movie type video games that like you said, you're like, when I played this game, like either by myself with a friend, it was okay if like I died, because like I wanted to keep watching the game, as a spectator. So it was pretty cool.
It wasn't about playing it was about the story.
Yeah, we never played this game together, did we? Or did we? I can't remember.
I don't know, like I played this a lot by myself. I know that.
Yeah,
I think like this game in particular led to my love of, I think, the Batman Arkham games, and now that new Gotham Knights game that I'm playing.
Oh, really?
So the story or the play is very similar. You get points for objectives and stuff like that when you remain silent, because they have that same feature where it's like, oh, what's that? Like blah blah blah, like how they had in this, where you were like. Where you had to like move around and stuff like that, and they had the alerts that would go up and it would change colors. So they have similar things to that here, where you can like throw your batarang down and like get them to move. Yeah.
God damn it.
That was a good one. Well, it also had, to Mr. Pickles' point, it had a lot of, the game was so good, it had a lot of other studios mimicking what they did in this game.
Yeah.
Splinter Cell was another one that was kind of like Metal Gear, but it's a little faster. And Splinter Cell franchise kind of died out after 3 or 4 games. But same thing, right? They were copying the idea and the gameplay of this. But it's great that they're remaking some of these. I heard there was an announcement for a remake of Snake Eater, I think. Was it?
Yeah, the third one. So like the original Big Boss, who is... Yeah. And the storyline's like so... like. They did such a good game a good job with the storyline. So like you play the other games because you wanted to know like the background or the origin of Solid Snake and like his dad and like the whole like Big Boss, Little Boss, whatever. It was confused. It got confusing to a point, but yeah, I would say I was actually shocked that they redid the third one, which is the 1960s version, because like the weapons aren't advanced enough. I would have thought they would have redone either like this one or the PS3 version, which I thought was my favorite one. But yeah. Hey, what's up, Trey? Thanks for stopping in. We're doing some kind of different today with video games. I got inspired by some stuff this weekend, but cool. And then Seal. So this is crazy. I actually thought this was a good buy. I don't know the first, second prints with Metal Gear, but this one pictured, so it's like the original one, not the greatest hits version. Went for 430 bucks. I don't know. So Manuel, with like video game collecting, it's kind of similar to comics, a little bit, but like you can grade any comic book, but you can only grade sealed video games. So it's like, who the hell was not opening up a Metal Gear Solid PlayStation 1 video game back in the day thinking it was going to be worth money later down the road?
Yeah.
So it's like warehouse finds. It's just random people. So it's really hard to find sealed video games from like PlayStation 1, 2, 3, etc. So, and then you think if you grade this, if you get this graded, it could triple the value of the video game. So this being like an original, like top 5 PlayStation 1 game, sealed of the original print run or whatever, this probably goes for pretty good money. The comic book, and here's another thing too. There's rumors that Oscar Isaac, is that right, is going to play Solid Snake in a movie. Is that right, Jason? Oscar Isaac?
I heard something about that. Dude, that guy hops around like to everything.
Franchise to franchise.
Dude.
Yeah.
That guy
making
is
money.
Like, yeah. Like anything you can get him in, like he's just like, I'm down. Like, what?
I heard he was
what world?
He was in the new Little Mermaid. I think he's the prince.
Oh my god, really? Yeah, did you so that is another thing that, when thinking about investing in these, regardless of the nostalgia, if a Metal Gear Solid movie comes out and Oscar Isaac is actually going to play Solid Snake, he's got the hair for it for sure. I think that's going to push this property even more. So, anyway, cool stuff. I kind of wanted to save this one for later down the road, but I want to start off hot too, because I knew both of you guys played this game, and this is like one of my favorites. So
I wonder where in the timeline are they going to make the film, right?
Because
there's a much younger version of Snake, and then there's a much older version. Him scarred up, beat up.
Yeah. Spoilers. Does he die in the 5th one, the PS3 version? He dies, right, at the end? Because he's like 65, like fighting. I don't know.
I don't know if I played that one.
Oh, I guess we'll have to play it then.
Yeah.
So I'd never played Sonic the Hedgehog, only at Bon Marché when they had the electronics store at the top. Do you remember that, Jason?
Yeah. Well, I remember like the what was it? The Alderwood Mall used to have that little NES station where you could like go and play Nintendo games. It was like a little square in the middle of the mall, like just outside of, I think it was just outside of the Bon. Like before they expanded.
That,
yeah. You just go up and hit that little red button and then play.
Dude, I totally forgot about that place, man. Oh, good time.
Now that would be $20 for 10 minutes.
This game's old school. I remember the Sega Game Gear and having a Sonic version of Sonic 2. And I was like, I don't know, 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. And one of the incentives to get our kids to behave, our teacher had a Game Gear, right? And if you did well at something or you read so many books, I forget, you were allowed to, have an extra time in recess or something, and she would work something out, or you would get to play her Game Gear. And I was like, I'm playing the Game Gear, right? And I worked my ass off just so I can play that stupid thing for like 20 minutes. And that's what it was. It was just Sonic on a little Game Gear, with chunky batteries that died immediately. So I had to go plug it into the wall and be near the wall playing this fucking game while everybody else is outside playing in the sun. What a nerd.
Total nerd, man.
But it was worth it. It was worth it.
I know. Secretly, like everyone playing outside wanted to play that Game Gear.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
There was questions like, how was it? Like, great, man, because it was in color, right? It wasn't like the
Game Gear. It was in color. Yeah. It was like Game Gear and Game Boy. That was like the two competing ones at the time, right?
Yeah. And then Game Boy had like a Game Boy Color that wasn't really color.
Yeah. It was like red and blue and white. That's the only colors you get. Yeah. Jason, did you ever play this game on any platform?
Sonic? Oh yeah. I had
Really?
Sonic 1, because I remember when they jumped from Sonic 1 to Sonic 2, like the big thing was, and I believe, I can't remember if you could do it in the first one, but I know when they jumped to 2, you could like squat in like a standstill position and charge up your spin and then go. And that was like a big deal for the game. And I was just like, everybody was like, oh my God, you could do that. And it's just like, but it was so fun, but it was so just a basic game. It was essentially a speedier version of Mario because it was just straight left to right.
Yeah, it was just straight. Yeah, you couldn't go. It was before the whole like 3D. That was like back in the day when like that one karate game or like Bad Boys or Double Dragon, like those games ruled every platform.
But then there was just like I remember with Sonic, there was always that like Jesus take the wheel moment where you would just be going so fast, you're like, all right, dude. Like you just throw your hands up, be like, that's right. Fate now. Like I'm either dying or I'm gonna friggin' win.
Hope I land on spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wade, you kind of make a good point. Like Sega like was always like trying to keep up like sales wise, but like if you really think about it, there's another game on Sega that I remember, Golden Axe. I was a little young for that game, but my cousins played it, Dax, and I'm sure Renee, you played Dragon Golden Axe back in the day too. But they used to talk about they would skip school in college to go play Golden Axe. But I felt like they had better games, but I guess like Nintendo was just so marketed well. Like you had to get Mario, you had to get Zelda, but the gameplay for Sega games, I would say, were far superior than Nintendo. It's just Nintendo, it was like they just had better marketing. I don't know, in my opinion,
because I went from the NES to I didn't have the Super Nintendo. I got the Genesis, and then the neighbors across the street had a Super Nintendo. So I'd go. I feel like that with them,
and that's another thing too. Like the availability of the system was more prevalent for, I feel like, Nintendo versus like Sega. So like if your friends if you had a Sega and all your other friends had Nintendo, it was like you're like the odd one out. You know what I mean? So
Echo the Dolphin. I remember that game.
Well, the one thing I didn't like, I was a Nintendo kid, but that was, it wasn't by choice per se. It's just broke as fuck and poor. We like one system, right? But when I would go to my friend's house who had the Sega, and the button layout was in a row, ABC, that was annoying. To go from 4 buttons on a Super Nintendo controller, if you're playing the same game, to 3 buttons on the Sega. But there was some fun differences that I like. I like both systems, but I never had the Sega. But things like when I learned Mortal Kombat 2 on the Sega had different sayings, right? Like for Scorpion, that blew my mind, right? Because in the Super Nintendo it was like, "Come here," when he launched his little thing and he grabbed you. And then in the Sega, it was like, "Get over here." I was like, "What?
Yeah.
You can switch it? How? I want a Sega now just for that one difference."
That's what I want. I want the whole like game. And then you were talking about. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just remember in Mortal Kombat when they added that guy for the uppercuts where it was like Toasty.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, that
was what just happened?
It was like, what did that have to do with anything?
I remember when I wanted, like, I never bought one of the handheld games like until I was like older. Actually, my parents were just like, "No, you get one system and like that's it." Like,
right.
They weren't ever like, they were like, "You're in your room enough. Like, there's no way we're gonna give you like a portable video game system. That's just stupid." But I remember like going to Nintendo or like Toys R Us or like Bon Marché, whatever, and they'd have those packs, like for a Sega. Or Game Gear or whatever, and they had like 3 games with your, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, I'd be like down for whatever. Oh man, Wade, you just put out a monster, Ghosts and Goblins. Have you guys? Okay, I'm going off subject, but kind of on subject. Have you guys ever heard of that game before, Ghosts and Goblins on Super Nintendo? So. Dude, that game goes for hella. It's like one of those. Manuel, I don't know if we saw it at the game store we went to, but they have it, the one in Linwood. It's like $100. It's, for whatever reason, it's rare and no one will sell it. It's like one of those games that every 30 to 40-year-old wants. I don't know, but anyway.
Nobody will sell it, but it's
no
rare.
one will sell it. Yeah, and if they sell it, it's like one of those like if I sell it, I'm selling for this much. So
yeah. So
anyway,
the packaging you're talking about, I think they sold like a game called Vector with a little green robot, and he'd shoot stuff out of his hands like Iron Man and Sonic at the same time, like on the same cartridge or some shit. I wonder if those are rare, like the bundled ones.
They probably are. Now that I think about it, and like now that I remember, I want to do like a market report and see what they go for, because like some of them were like stupid, like Vector Man. Some of those, some of those games on those 3-packs or whatever were like dumb, but there are other ones that they did better like later down the road. Sorry, Manuel, I interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just going back to what you were saying, that they had bundles. Sega would sell you more games in the system, right? And they're like, we're better in the commercials. But a lot of people I think it was money, right? You either had one or the other. Not everybody that I knew had both. And I certainly didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know. I knew like one dude that had like, I had a rich friend in Bellevue, and he had like, he just got every system. And so it was just like, and so the one Sega game that I thought was like, man, they have really good games was, it was hockey and like baseball. I don't know. Those are like my two favorite Sega games that I ever played.
Right. He's lying. It was the Lion King.
F you, dude.
It's like, man, like just jumping around in them trees, chasing those little Simba-shaped gold things. Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
What the hell? What the hell just happened? That was good. Anyway, quick market report. So the Comic-Con exclusive for Sonic the Hedgehog that came out in the 2000s, I don't know what day or what year, 9.8 went for $1K, and the sealed Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, if you guys are buying sealed video games, like be very wary. This looks like a rewrap, like a Blockbuster with the fan or whatever. But nonetheless, this went for, and there's several bids on this. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 went for $350. Yeah, right. Kind of weird, huh?
That's good. Oh, one thing I would add to Sonic is it is generational, right? My kids are now into Sonic. I bought Sonic, I forget, like 1, 2, and 3 on the Xbox, right? And it was like a $15 game, and you can play all the Sonics. And then they started releasing all newer Sonics, and then the movie. So it's now coming back, and kids are into it again.
Would you say your boys were like, oh man, Dad, I want to go see the Sonic movie when it came out?
For sure. They got Sonic pajamas. You know, they're pretty excited. And when the second one came out, they were excited because the first one was funny, and you know, Jim Carrey kind of helped out with that. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. So like, just in for the collectors out there, like when you're thinking of like, oh, this is gonna be worth 2 times in like, you know, whatever amount of years, like you have to also think like generational, like collecting. So so you know, comic books are like cool right now, but like, Manuel, your kids they don't go to the comic book store like we did, like me and Jason, or all 3 of us did back in the day. Am I right?
No, I think it's because they have access on an iPad or a computer or through YouTube. Somebody else will see it on YouTube. And then we're doing now, and they'll watch the YouTube video instead of going out and doing it themselves.
Yeah, and they don't get excitement of like the physical like holding of a comic book, but they sure as hell will get down on a whatever you've put in front of them for like 4 hours. It's a big difference, right?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, the comics they have received, they like them. They go through them, but they don't see this is a prized possession. They'll just be like, I'm done, you know, toss.
Yeah, and furthermore, sound like a fucking attorney. Like, what was I gonna say? They are, there's more than digital stuff. I mean, my nieces and nephews, like, they like Miles. They like all these properties, but they don't like. Whenever I've taken Andrew to a comic book store, he's like, "Can we go? I'm kind of bored." But like when we go to a video game store, he's you know, we're sharing that same passion or like excitement for video games that you know, he did at my age when I was like 10 years old or whatever. So it's like the same. So like consistently, and this is the reason I want to highlight this show today was the hobby is exciting for when the hobby was exciting for us when we were like 6 to today. And for, you know, the kids, I see that it's the same kind of nostalgic kind of excitement. And even more so, they're getting excited for the same games that we played when we were kids. So it makes more sense. That's why I think it's like with just kind of the drop in comic book value. I mean, silver, golden, bronze, copper are going to hold its value, but it's easier to, or it's more of a safer investment, I feel, to get into properties that have a connection with video games now, because the future generations are going to remember those versus like comic books. Anyway, kind of a small tangent. Another Sega, or no, sorry, another franchise, I would say like B tier franchise. It's close A franchise that I want to highlight today. Mega Man. This was across platforms, right? This wasn't just on Nintendo. Was it on Sega as well? I can't remember.
I think it was Nintendo only.
Okay.
Yeah, like the original games were, and then I know once they got into like Mega Man X, this and blah blah blah, they were on like PlayStation, I believe, as well.
And yeah, dude, Jeff, you're right on, man. I freaking hate this game so much. I loved it. They had the coolest villains though, man. Like they had like, I thought it was an underrated franchise, honestly. Like I was gonna put Metroid here, but like I couldn't find a good like sales comparison. But as far as like, this is a movie too, right? Did I mess that up?
I don't think they have yet. I know that there's like over the years I've heard like multiple like times where they were either trying to get something going with it, whether it was like, I think it had a cartoon actually. There was a cartoon of it back in like the 90s maybe. But other than that, it was mainly, you hear whispers of it, like a live action this or a TV show on Netflix or something like that, and then it would just go away. So I'm still waiting. It'd be cool. I mean, it'd be a good property to do. Yeah,
because like when, I don't know Trey's in the chat. I don't know Trey's in the chat, but they have bosses. Like he has really good enemies, and that's what makes there's way more enemies than there are heroes in Mega Man. So if you're lacking for enemies, like Mega Man's the thing.
You also had to have a strategy, right? Like which boss do you take out? Because that's how you chose your levels. Which boss do you take out? So then you can steal their power to go beat the next boss.
Yeah, it was like who dies quickest from your like base weapon.
Yep, from your blaster.
And then you take that one to go to the next guy.
Yeah. Right. I didn't really play it. Like I didn't buy a Mega Man ever, but it was one of those games I would play at my friend's house because he had Mega Man. And for some reason I remember playing this on Sega, but he probably just had like the other system. But I always thought the bosses were really cool in this game. I mean, he's got this big ass blaster. You just get to shoot like multiple times, or like the big ass like freaking, you know. I don't have a lot of like memories for this game, but yeah. What else did you guys like about this game other than like the gameplay? And there was like multiple versions of it. Did you guys just play the first one?
Oh, I had 1, 2, and 3, and I played like all of them. I actually on my system now I have I bought the I bought the Capcom collection of them.
Oh, like right.
It has like 1 through 5 or 6 or something like that, and you can play.
Wasn't the first one on the regular Nintendo? I think it was on the regular Nintendo, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're probably right. That Mega Man I have there is, I don't think it's the first one.
No, that's
10. That's the SNES. That's Mega Man 10.
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
Or whatever.
So that's crazy, man. So that's the 10th version of Mega Man. Is that right?
Well, they had I know 1, 2, and 3 were all on NES because I had those. I remember on 3, I like found out the trick where you could have somebody plug in the second controller port. You could plug into that and have the person with that controller hold the right like button down or whatever, the directional button. And you could like not die. Like you would jump down the pit. Like you could jump down the pits that were there and then jump back out of them. Like you had this high jump.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, Nintendo's awesome.
Yeah,
that,
they were
that's
clever.
crazy, man. If you have a Nintendo sealed or like CIB, which means a complete in box, that might not be a bad investment if you can get it for cheap. So CIB, and Vinny's explained this before. Complete in box means not sealed, but you have like the manual, the video game, and the box, and then you just kind of you can submit it and get a grade on it. It doesn't go for as much as a sealed, but like it's kind of the second best thing. It'd be interesting to like because you can buy like the video game just alone, and then the box alone, and the manual alone, and you can kind of get like a good deal. And if you're trying to flip or just trying to make some money off of it, it might be a good play to do that. But if a Mega Man 8.5 sealed number 10 went for $2,000, I gotta imagine that a complete in box of like the 1, 2, and 3 from the original Nintendo, that might go for pretty good money if you can get like, try and get a good deal on it all. But like I think at this point people are just wanting that they just want it. That's pretty crazy. I didn't realize that. You guys had actually educated me on this one. Like I thought that was the like I didn't know it's number 10. Now I'm kind of curious, but
dude, I just remember the underwater levels being so frustrating because it was like
yeah,
they had those spikes everywhere and you died if you hit them. It was like you had to like hold the button down just enough, like hit it, and your guy would like jump up, and then you had to like float over. It was just so frustrating. You'd like just barely clip it, and your guy would just blow up, and you'd be like, no. Like I can't tell you how many times I threw my controller down just because of that crap. I'm just like, God damn it.
Okay. How
many the evolution of his death were also pretty cool. Like he would go when he would get destroyed and then just fall into pieces and disappear. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was cool. Yeah.
How many controllers did you guys just break? Like I'm unsure.
There was rules. You couldn't be throwing controllers, man. You'd be banished from Nintendo forever if you did something like that.
The only time I threw them down was on carpet. Like they were not going down on the hard floor.
Oh, damn it on my hand versus the controller because we can't afford to buy a new one. That's too much money.
And Mano, you have like brothers too, so like you guys are all probably together, right?
Yeah.
So
my older and little brother were the closest ones to playing those games with me, and you beat up the controller, you're getting your ass kicked by your brother. So don't you're not doing that.
Yeah, because it was just me. Like my sisters, we played like Nintendo Mario Brothers together, but like I think I broke more controllers when it became wireless versus like on the wire. Like I don't think I ever, and like do you remember that Super Nintendo controller where it had like little switches, like the turbo one? Do you guys remember that? What did that do? Did that even do anything really?
It allowed it to push that same button faster for whatever games you needed it.
Oh, really?
It'd be like turbo. So if you hit the button, it'd be like for you. Yeah.
Well, Wade, that's right.
One time my sister was walking by, right, because we only had one TV where the Nintendo was being played, and she hits the cords, trips on it, brings down the Nintendo, and all of us are like, yeah! And of course it was our fault, right, because she knocked it down. Like, you shouldn't put it there. I'm like, where else are we going to put the Nintendo? Everything went black, but it wasn't broken. It just freaked us out. Yeah.
Oh, here's another thing. So on PlayStation, like I think my sister's like friend or someone was letting me borrow it, and they didn't give me a memory card. And I was playing like basketball or like some game where I had to save it. I let that motherfucker run all night, man. I was not gonna lose my spot, man. That was another memory. And then like I think I left it on for like 3 days without telling my parents. And then like my dad came home and he was like, he basically like, what's that noise? And I was like, oh, I don't know, it's a fan. It was like November. Like there's no fans in November. And he was pissed. He thought like the electricity bill was gonna go like through the roof, which I don't even know back then. But anyway, but yeah. So that Mega Man. Oh, Jason, I have this comic book. I'm probably gonna send it in for Scotty Young's signing. But this is Scotty Young cover.
Oh, nice.
Did you? Oh man, Scotty Young's a very like. He has this different kind of kitty art, so it's like very. I want to say it's like anime. It's just very like it's hard to explain, but he's a very
trying to see if I have anything.
Oh, yeah. Very well known kind of
he
like
does
artist.
Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go in.
He takes like characters and makes them kind of kiddish.
Oh, cool.
So he's very popular amongst. He has a very nichey kind of like art. And yeah. Anyway,
is that Mega Man 8.5? Oh no, is the comic a newer comic or an older comic?
Came out in 2000. I don't know, guys in the chat help me out, but it's a newer comic book that came out that I forgot who publishes, like Image or just an independent comic book publisher. But Scotty Young did that cover. What's that?
IDW.
It was IDW. Okay.
Usually does all the video
games
adaptations for the most part.
Makes sense. So I don't really like. I'm not a big Scotty Young fan, but like I thought the cover was cool, so I'm probably gonna send it in and get it signed. What's up, Matt? Respect. Thanks for coming through, my friend.
For his 4th annual.
Jesus Christ. And he has like signings like that guy's like,
Dude, yeah.
I need a new Mercedes. I think I'm gonna do a signing at CGC. So, no hate, man. So I thought you guys would like this. I swear, Manuel, you talked about this game before. I don't know. Maybe just like bullshitting in my head, but Twisted freaking Metal. Yeah. You guys remember this game?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was multiplayer. So you were allowed to split screen with your friends.
Yeah.
And you'd have to go find them on this map and destroy them. It was
it's the best game ever.
If you think about it, it's probably one of the first third-person shooter games that you play with your friends, right? You're in cars or vehicles, but you're still running around the map trying to destroy everybody and your buddy. It's pretty cool. I liked all the endings too. Like every person you played to beat the game with had a different ending, and of course, it was never in your favor because it's twisted. So it was pretty cool.
Jason, did we ever play this game together? I feel like we did. You probably did.
Probably did. I didn't own the game. I always just played it with other people at other people's houses.
Yeah. It was one of those games where I remember like it was dumb playing alone. You know what I mean? Like Mario Kart's kind of dumb playing by yourself, or that's all I can think of right now at the moment. But like Twisted Metal was always like because it was on PlayStation, so you had 4 ports possibly, right? Yeah. So you could ultimately just you could gain up on one dude or whatever. Yeah, just a phenomenal game. I thought when I think of like OG PlayStation, like I don't say like Mount Rushmore, but like the top 20, like this always like hits me for some reason because it's multiplayer. It uses all the ports for the game, and yeah, it's like one of those first like, hey, have you not just one friend over, but like 3, and versus like a sports game or whatever. But
well, because like this one came out, this was right around the same time, and like I had the decision to make of what game to get type of deal. Like you only get one. I ended up with Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and that was the game that I played the hell out of. So that was the one I bought and would just like, I would spend hours on that. But they were both right around kind of the same time. So for me, like I would play this with other people, but I played Tony Hawk a little bit more.
Yeah, Tony Hawk, dude, we played Tony Hawk together. I remember that for sure. Like one iteration of it.
Dude, I bought because they like re-upped it recently and like redid it and released 1 and 2 together. I tried playing that thing again, man. I used to be able to get like all the way up into like the 900,000s into like the millions of points on the school on the first one. I can't even.
Oh yeah, like that's right.
Like I used to just completely destroy that course, and like now I go on there and I'm like, why can I only get like 1,500 points? I'm like, damn it! I'm falling down left and right, and I can't do anything anymore.
And you always try and get
gone away.
You always try and do a 1080 on like the half pipe, like every time. That was like always my goal. I can never do it, but and then this is so. I don't know if Jason, I don't know if you knew about this, but a Twisted Metal comic book. There was like a series. It was really like short print, but the guys from Tales from the Flip Side always talk about how that's like one of their grails. This never goes for sale, and this was like a 6.0 grade out of 10. Went for $2K almost, and this isn't even
6.0.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's a standalone. I don't know a lot about it, but this is the only comic book I could find. And the greatest hits, so not the original version, but the greatest hits version sealed went for $250. So you can tell right here, it's like not only the fact that we like it, but a lot of people seem to like it because greatest hits are essentially second print, or like not second print, but they're a reprint.
Yeah.
And
Well, they have the show comes out soon, right?
I don't know.
there's a show?
I saw a
Yeah.
trailer for it with Anthony Mackie, I believe.
Oh, I wonder what they would do. That's kind of a weird show to do, but I'm all for it. It's cool.
Yeah, I think we got back in the day. PlayStation would give out like PlayStation demos in their magazine, and that was one that we played on the demo, Twisted Metal,
like over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. And then it would get you enough to want to go purchase the game. The other thing is, I think that voiceover guy that would introduce the game in Twisted Metal was the same guy that did Resident Evil, because it was always like when you click, start to go, it'd be like Resident Evil 2, and then same thing with Twisted Metal, it'd be like Twisted Metal, and you're like, yeah, we're starting the game. This deep voice dude came on and told you what the game was.
Oh my god, I totally remember that now.
Yeah.
The Peacock original is what it'll be on.
Oh, they're putting how they gonna?
I don't know if it's a movie or if it's a TV show, but the trailer just basically starts off. It's like completely like 90s looking too. It's just like he's like opens up the glove box and there's like just a bunch of shotgun shells in the glove box. He starts loading them into his shotgun, and then you just see this CD booklet like slam down on the remember those big huge CD booklets?
Yeah.
That
the
like
one you
slams
had
down on the seat, and he opens it up and starts flipping through and pulls out a CD and throws it in the disc player.
I'm going to go back and watch it.
I'm going to check that out for sure.
Even got that clown guy in it.
That clown guy was the creepiest one, but he was funny. Manuel, you reminded me about this right before we're going to walk into the movie, Ninja Turtles. So I would say, I don't know if we've talked about this on previous shows. I know I have on other shows, but if I had like a ton of money I didn't know what to do with, like that's what I would get. A TMNT number 1, graded and high grade.
First print.
First print for sure. That's like my grail. To have it autographed by Eastman and what's his name? Laird, that'd be like the tits. But anyway, so I remember buying this game. I remember going to Toys R Us. Like, that first week, my dad took me, after school. I remember going to Toys R Us in Alderwood and getting a little ticket. Do you guys remember those little tickets you had to get? Toys R Us? And then it was like one of 3 that were left. I give the ticket to the dude, goes back in that magical room, and pops out with the freaking Ninja Turtle video game. I hated this game. I hated the gameplay. I hated the freaking. It was too hard.
Dude, it was such a pain in the ass. Again, another underwater level that was a pain in the ass. Remember, like trying to swim through that stupid seaweed.
Yeah, the graphics were horrible. Even for like 8-bit Nintendo. But shit, I played the shit out of this game because I love turtles, man. Did you guys ever play this game? Well, Jason, you did. Did you play this game?
I did, but I was a much bigger fan of the Super Nintendo version. But in that one too, there was very dumb things. Like if there was a hole in the street, like a manhole, and you fell into it, your turtle would die. I'm like, they're from the damn sewers. Why would the turtle die?
It's like they just went home, man. That should be recharging my energy.
You pop back up, you're like, come back, guys. And then continue fighting. Nope, dead. Right?
Yeah.
But I do remember the frustration with the first one because it was like a crude map as well in the regular Nintendo one. When you got to different places and different levels, right? You were in your little. Was it the van? Were you in a little van riding around? The Super Nintendo, you just went from level to level.
Yeah, yeah. It was like very Mario based style, if I remember right. Yeah. Jason, what did you think of this game? Or how much did you hate this game?
Well, I remember like this was like the disappointment in Metroid when you found out how easy it was to actually get to the end of the game. Like, remember Metroid? Like, you go through that whole thing, but then when you like start the game, if you like literally just went left and like up a little bit, you were at the final boss.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, dude, this was so much easier to beat. It was like the same with finding the Technodrome in that. Like, I remember that. Like, everybody was just like, it's so hard to find. And if you just like did this and that and blah, 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 you were like right there. But, this game was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, because it was just like I remember, but they had like weird things you could do. Like there's that one boss where if you were Donatello, you could like get up on top of that thing and just keep hitting your bow staff down, and that guy would just jump up into it the whole time. But you would just do it for like half an hour because that's about how long it took, because you didn't hit him every time. You just had to sit there and duck and hit the button, and he just kept doing that thing and hitting him.
Dude, that's what kids don't get. This is what kids don't understand. Like, it takes hours to beat these big bosses, and kids nowadays are like, fuck that. I only got 20 minutes tops, you know? There's like, okay, so I said, fuck this game. I stopped playing it, and I moved on to, I don't know,
the arcade version was really fun.
It was really good, man.
Yeah, that was really good.
The arcade version is like, you know, they sell those like, at Best Buy, they sell those like life size or semi life size arcade systems. I would buy the Ninja Turtles arcade system.
Yeah, that was a fun game. And now they have a new one, I think, on both Xbox and PlayStation, where it's very similar to the arcade. You can play up to, I think, 6 players all at once across the screen. Yeah, you can be Master Splinter, you can be April, and all the turtles.
Cowabunga!
That's a perfect, like, if you're going on vacation and there's no like internet anywhere, like in the past time.
All I ever wanted in Ninja Turtles games was to be able to play as Casey Jones and to be able to play as Usagi Yojimbo. That's all I want. Like, let me be the rabbit ninja from space.
Yeah, come on. No comments in the chat for Ninja Turtles. I'm a little shocked, but that's all good.
Everybody's on the same page with you, Fernando. They didn't like it. That's why. No chat for me. Screw this game.
Yeah, seriously. So it's probably why so the cover's sick. Manuel, and I don't know if Renee's in the chat still, but cover the comic number 4 for this book, or for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 4. That's the cover for that comic book. So so other than number 1, the 4th comic issue of Ninja Turtles is very well sought after. And that's just kind of a extra thing with the collectability of that comic specifically. But I chose the first comic because it's a grail for sure. And then this comic book went for $1,900, 9.2. It's graded by Wada. There's several video game companies you can use. I don't prefer Wada. I'd rather just go with CGC just because that's who I know. But just FYI, I'm not a video game expert on any level. I'm very novice. I would say Fedora Khan knows his stuff pretty well, and Wade definitely knows his comic book stuff, video game stuff. Vinny was kind of our resident guy in the OTR podcast. But yeah, so.
Well, Ninja Turtles is kind of like that weird oddity that like started in comic books, but has basically hit every source of like media it can. There's like movies, TV, there's comics, video game franchises, like anything that you want to entertain yourself with, you can get Ninja Turtles. Like,
I think Donatello started a podcast with Raphael.
They should actually do that. They should get all the actors from the original movie that were like in the suits. They should just get them together and do a podcast.
Rate pizzas throughout New York.
Oh my god, that we should dress up. We should put the mask on and. Oh, Manuel, I was gonna ask, do your boys like Ninja Turtles? I don't ever remember them talking about Ninja Turtles. But do they like them?
Only the newer game on the Xbox, because we can all play together and run through and beat up the foot, you know.
Yeah.
But that comic.
I gotta run to the door real quick. Somebody's knocking at the door.
What's that?
That's $48,000 for that comic book.
Yeah, so there's kind of while Jason's gone, I can talk about this. Oh, and real quick, everyone, thanks for we're about an hour almost into this. Thanks for sticking through. We got 8 strong in the chat. If you guys could all I'm sure you guys all subscribe already, but tell your friends all this stuff. And I want to thank Manuel for coming through. You've really added a huge value to the show because I don't know as much as you, Jason, do about video games. But I don't know if the family. I don't know if the familia is watching this, but they're probably still asleep. But that's all good. Yeah, dude. So there's like supposedly, I don't know if this is real, but this is kind of we're on the street when Eastman and Laird, who are the writers and the artists for Ninja Turtles, were pitching this book. It's independent. They basically put all their money into it. They only printed like 3,000 copies of it, and supposedly they were able to sell the first like 1,000 issues or 1,000 to 1,500 issues. It's a magazine size like issue, so it's not a standard comic book, and it's black. So it's very susceptible to color breaks, wear. It doesn't hold its grade very well. But the thing is, there's not a lot in circulation in high grade. So whenever these pop up in 9.6, 9.8, even 9.4, they go for a lot of money. A 9.8 at the height of the pandemic went for like $250,000.
Dang.
So yeah, and so $250,000 versus and that was 9.8. 9.6 went for 50 grand, which still seems like a lot. But I honestly thought that was actually not a bad deal because of the amount of times this comic book comes out onto the open market. It just doesn't happen very often. So it's one of those I'm going to buy it, I'm going to sit on it, I'm going to look at it for 10 years, and then maybe I might sell it later down the road. And you're almost guaranteed to make money because it's an ongoing franchise, right? So anyway.
You can sell it by a Honda Civic Type R. Just be like turbo mode,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
I know, it's crazy, right? It's just but just the fact that it's modern art, and it's arguably probably the most successful true independent comic book of all time. I would got this. People argue there's, no, I'm gonna say that. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say that here today on that podcast.
Crazy.
I think we got 2 more left. Castlevania, I would say top 5 Nintendo video game for sure. It's one of those staples. And when Jason was talking about earlier, it hasn't hit every single part of media, but it did have a 2-season show on Netflix, which I thought was pretty enjoyable. This game I highlighted, Symphony of the Night, was rated the greatest Castlevania game of all time, and it spawned a bunch of different ways to play the franchise with it was almost like an RPG in itself, right, Jason?
Of what? That Castlevania game?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't get to play any Castlevanias outside of the original NES ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I might have played one on a different platform, but I'm pretty sure it was just Castlevania and Simon's Curse or Simon's Quest and all those ones that I owe for that. But although chances are I probably have this because that God, which one am I spacing on? The Mega Man bundle that I bought as well. I have the Castlevania one.
Oh.
And so it's probably in there. I'd have to relook at it though, but it's the same thing. It's but I got frustrated trying to replay the original Castlevania, and I forgot how much of a pain in the ass it was to get past the mummies and
fucking mummies.
to get past stupid freaking Medusa.
Oh yeah, Medusa.
All those people. It's
gross me out.
To even get to Dracula, it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Manuel,
I played the Nintendo.
One?
Yeah, the Nintendo version. I remember playing it, and I remember playing Super Nintendo version, which I liked. I didn't get very far because it was really hard. And when the PlayStation version came out, because it was still a 2D scrolling game that reminded me a lot of the Super Nintendo stuff, I just didn't get into it because there was a lot of other things like Twisted Metal and Metal Gear that was out around the same time, and I was like, why am I going to go backwards where video games are going this direction, right?
Right.
So it wasn't something that was in my playlist a lot because we played it on the Super Nintendo, and now we were past all that. We were on the PlayStation phase, and everything was going a different direction in 3D versus 2D scrolling, and it looked cooler, and there was more things you could do in that game, but it wasn't worth my time, so I stopped playing it.
I think by the time I had a PlayStation as well, at least for me, I started playing the Devil May Cry games a little bit more than I was Castlevania.
Exactly.
So it was I think I just kind of swapped out my vampire
love
games. What was it? Dante? You were Dante, I think instead. In Devil May Cry. Is it Dante?
Yes, I think in the original ones. I can't remember because there's 5 of them now or something like that. I can't remember who is in which one because they all each one has different.
There was a PlayStation 2. That's where Devil May Cry started coming out, and that's what I was talking about. The direction of video games was changing, and then they had a Castlevania, almost like God of War game type. I played that one. It was very God of War, right? Where you are running around and you have these weapons that can go out and you can spin people around and you have to beat all the enemies before you can open up that one boulder that's blocked by a wolf or some shit. So then I was like, well, this is like God of War. I'll just play God of War, right? Because I like that one better. But I was same with Pickles, right? I started going somewhere else, and then it seemed like Castlevania was mimicking the stuff that we were liking, so I was just playing the other stuff.
Yeah, and the story was like, I mean, it's pretty like originally. I remember when Castlevania came out, I was like, oh, they just took all the 1940s like villains of like horror and put them in a game, and Dracula's the boss. Very easy like story, right? I played a little bit of Symphony of the Night, and it was too hard. I was like, man, I've heard this is a great game, but it just isn't hitting with me. But just the difficulty level was like really hard. But I primarily played like as Simon in 1 and 2. Like that was like I would say Castlevania is like my favorite like introductory game that was kind of violent into like Nintendo. So anyway, but collectors gravitate towards this for some reason, probably because what Wade said, Symphony Night is the best game of the Castlevania franchise. And if you Google top 10 greatest video games, not just Nintendo video games, but video games, Symphony of the Night is usually in those top 10 lists for its gameplay. And with that said, original sealed one went for 2000 and 9.0. 9.8 is the best grade, so it's just grades like comic books. That's quite a bit of money for nostalgia. And then this didn't go for a lot, but I cannot find this comic book. It came out in the 2000s. IDW Publishing went for 189 in perfect grade. I think that cover's sick. Jason, that's your type of cover right there, I would say.
Is it?
That is cool.
Yeah, sick son of a. Anyway, last.
Do you remember? Was it Ghouls and Ghosts?
Yeah, dude.
That game where you would like run across
dude.
and you were in that little knight outfit and you threw your
that was like a fun ass fucking
or
game,
spear
man.
or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like you kept getting hit and eventually you were running around butt ass naked almost. You're like in your underwear.
That was a fun fucking game, man. That was an awesome game. Yeah, Ghouls and Ghosts, man. Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, throwback. That's a nice throwback there, dude. And this is the last. No, I got one more after this. Sorry, guys. Maximum Carnage. This I feel like is the first video game that took collecting, as far as I remember, to like kind of a new level where you pre-ordered it, you got a bunch of shit, and it wasn't just the video game that made it out or made it kind of exciting, but the presentation of it, the posters you get with this. I remember my buddy who lived down the street got this like pre-ordered, and we went to the store together, and like I was super jealous of him, and we played this game. I don't remember playing the game so much. I just remember like the whole situation of getting the game and all the stuff that came along with it. Did you guys ever play this game at all?
I did. I remember the game being hard, and it was one of the few games that changed the cartridge color.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Everything else was gray. This was like red on your light gray Nintendo. It was pretty cool. I remember it being hard, like difficult to get through. The mechanics and the gameplay were fine, but I remember it being difficult. Like I was just like, okay, that was hard, and I gave it to my friend to play instead because he liked it more.
Yeah. Were you into Carnage at all, Mino?
Only through the early '90s Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He made an appearance every once in a while. They didn't use the character a lot in that cartoon franchise. They used Venom more. I think they had more of a storyline with Venom because Spider-Man was Black Spider-Man, and then it became Venom. But I don't remember Carnage that much. No, I knew he was scarier.
Yeah, he's more evil.
More evil, yeah.
Jason, what about you, man? Did you ever play this game?
So I feel like I did, but if I did, it was on Genesis because I didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I don't remember if they had this available for it or not.
It's a good question. I don't know either.
So it might just be purely nostalgia from seeing the cover and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but I feel like I did. I thought it was on. Like I'm almost picturing the black case that the Genesis games would open up out of with that on it, but I just can't remember for the life of me.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Yeah, I remember, like I said, like I remember my friend having this game and we played it, and yeah, it was really hard, man. I remember like that too. The collectability of this is like, I mean, it hits video game collectors as like one of those like, oh, it's the red cartridge is what really stands out. I know seeing this like in video game stores with just the cartridge, it goes for like $70 plus. I've seen it go for as much as 100 with just the cartridge. I think people just gravitate towards the cartridge. With kind of the comic book sale, this is also hit kind of nostalgia, obviously because of it being Carnage. This comic book was like a giveaway, or like it came with the video game, but it's very hard and high grade. 9.6, which I don't have in that picture there, obviously, went for $1,000. Because this was like kids got it and they put it in their back pocket and like rode home, that kind of thing. So it's really hard to find a high grade. I've seen a raw 6.0, like graded 6.0, go for like 150, and this was post-pandemic. It was on Genesis. Cool, thanks, Wade. I'm glad Wade's in the chat today. But cool. And last and definitely not least, I think I put this one last because I feel like this franchise is kind of carrying Nintendo in a way. Mario Brothers does too and everything, but can you guys guess what the... I fucking hate you. Anyway.
My Little Pony Rainbow Adventure.
There are some FOC lists that do love My Little Pony, Jason, if you know what I'm talking about. Can you guys guess the next one though, for real?
I'm gonna say Zelda of some sort.
Jason?
Well, yeah. If it's not Mario for Nintendo, it has to be Zelda. It's the only other one that can carry it. Wait, no. Is it Donkey Kong?
Oh, it is.
It is Zelda. I couldn't find Donkey Kong. I thought about putting in the list, but I didn't have enough. But Wade, yes, you win. It is Zelda. I didn't. Was
the game cartridge for The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past? Was that gold? Was it a golden cartridge?
This is the cartridge I found on Google. So I don't think so, but I don't know, man. I guess we got to buy one. I'm just kidding.
I feel like each of the Zelda releases from the original on all had a gold cartridge for it. Because I'm pretty sure even like Ocarina and Majora's Mask all had a gold cartridge version when it first like came out.
I know the original one obviously had the gold, but I don't think this one was gold. You know what, Jason? Did we know each other when I had those? I came back home from the Philippines and I had this like you remember those disc drives?
Yeah.
And I had this attachment you put on top of the Super Nintendo and you load up, and I had like 50 games on it. And you can load up, and this is one of the games. You would install the game each time. And it was like on one of those 3D disc drives or whatever, like 96. Did we know each other back then? Does that ring a bell with you?
We were more like 97, 98, I think.
I just remember I think I still had it because I played a boxing game. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Well, so that reminds me of those modded Xboxes. Like my buddy have a modded Xbox.
Yeah, I had a modded PS1, but it was before that, and then people like would whatever. Yeah, I don't think Link to the Past had a gold cartridge, but I would say that Link had a great cartridge. This was my favorite Zelda. Always, ever. Even more than this one, and I know it's pretty close to this one, but I probably played this game like 7 times over and over, and the gameplay still holds true. I would play this game. I'll probably play this game on my way to the Philippines, honestly. I just think just such a good game. It was so fun. The graphics were really great for its time. It was a clean game. It had a good storyline. I wouldn't say it's my most favorite game of all time. That'll always be Final Fantasy VII, but definitely like replayable up to this day. And difficulty is it's not too difficult. It just takes a long time to beat the game. But Jason, I know you love this game, man. Talk about it.
Well, this one, I never played this one though. That's the problem.
What the hell? Seriously?
Well, I told you I didn't have a
That's
Super
right.
Nintendo.
Damn it. Okay, my bad. Well,
I had a Genesis, so I'm a Ocarina of Time is my favorite.
All right,
64. Yeah.
All right. What is your?
That.
What is your most favorite and least favorite part of Ocarina?
So my favorite part about it was the first kind of where they kind of restructured the Zelda format, where they were more open world. You could kind of roam around and choose your own direction. Plus, you were using both of the dual joysticks on that at the other ones, and so that was always probably my favorite one because it was a little bit more challenging. It wasn't just the straightforward like hit the button, shoot the sword, etc. You could jump around and do all that, and they had so many different NHL '94. God, I remember that game. You could make your own team. Well, because I grew up playing hockey, so like for that you could like make your own players and add them onto the team. So it's like I had everybody on my team on like the Flyers. Like, who was my
that's
team.
Awesome.
And you could just run up the score because all you had to do was either you either came up and cut across the top of the circle and just shot a slap shot and it would friggin' go in every time, or you could hit your guys like coming up the side with a one-timer and it would always go in.
It was a good game. Yeah.
But yeah, the thing, what did I hate the most? Oh, the freaking water temples.
Yeah, the water temple.
I hate the water temples in goddamn Ocarina of Time. Like I told you the other day, I was like, I'm pretty sure if I were to turn my 64, get it out of storage and turn that bitch on, it would still be stuck on a replay where I'm still on the water temple, like I'm stuck in it.
Just get the strategy guide, dude. You'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, I did it once before. I can do it again.
Fernando, now that you got your Switch, did you buy the there's like a remake or a new version of The Legend of Zelda where you're playing above, just like a Super Nintendo version, but it looks a little more modern and you're doing similar things. I forget what that one's called.
I don't know. I tried looking for Ocarina on the Switch, and the only way you can get it is if you sign up for Nintendo Plus or their yearly program. I haven't looked at the original Nintendo games, but I'll probably do that today after I'm done with the shower. Wifey.
Shower. Sure that sounds steamy.
Oh, Jason. He's here all night, folks. He's here all night. But no, I want to, because I need games to play for the Philippines, but I don't want to like, I need my strategy guide, right? So I don't want to, I just want to play a game free.
No, there's a version on the Switch that is similar to the this one from the Super Nintendo, but it's like a different game, but very similar style to this one, where you're still breaking up clay pots and your sword will still break up bushes and you have little arrows, but it's I don't know what that view is called, but you're overhead just like you are in this one. It's just a newer version of it.
I'll look for it. I only went back to 64, but I haven't gone to like the Super Nintendo or Nintendo games. But no, I'll look for it. Did you play this game? You play this game, right, Manuel?
Only for a little bit. It wasn't, again, single player games took a long time. And I had brothers to get through, so this is a game we would borrow, right? We didn't buy it ourselves, but we would trade it for another game. Mm-hmm. And we'd play for a little bit and then we'd give it back because the kid that was actually playing it wanted to continue on his journey, right? So we would play it for just a bit and give it back and get our game back. But
what Zelda game do you or is your favorite Zelda game ever?
Mine's Ocarina of Time. That's the one I played. I don't think I ever beat the boss, but I played it all the way to the boss. I made a mistake and I had to start over. I didn't like go to the farm to make sure I got a horse. So then when you come back as a bigger kid, because you're a little kid when you start, and then you turn into a bigger kid, and then if that horse was there when you were younger, it'll be there when you're older. And I never did that, so I was running everywhere versus getting on your horse. And then I had to start it over. And when I started over and I got to that part, I just stopped playing it. I moved on to something. Yeah, but I did play it a lot, like walking everywhere.
Yeah,
time with my flute, right, so I can do different things. I got to the boss, and then I realized that you can get a horse doing a certain thing because I didn't have a strategy guide. But
see, yeah, Jason, strategy guide right there. That's the reason why I get the strategy guide.
That's true.
Don't make me bust it out. I have it right here. I have it.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, Birdie's probably got a stack of strategy guides back there taller than he is.
Yeah, but like I remember
Yeah.
looking like somebody would tell me different things you can play on your flute before I got to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool. Like you can do different things with your flute to make it do different things on the game, and I never got a chance to finish it. But I got a 64 now, so I'm gonna go back and I'm going to go get this.
Do you have the game?
No, I don't have the game.
I have it. If you want to borrow it.
Oh, you're on. Let's do it.
And I have the strategy guide to go on that.
Well, I'm sure you do. Yeah, you were the kid. You were like the kid that played Final Fantasy VII that like grabbed that final weapon for whoever it was at the top of the stairs in the Shinra building as you're running out on the very beginning of the game. You know what I'm talking about? It's like after everybody else is just like, oh, we got to get out of here. And they're like running down the friggin' stairs. And Ferd's like, hold up. Let me run upstairs like 10 floors real quick before this thing falls. I'm going to grab this weapon. Strategy guy says it's up there.
Go fuck yourself.
It's not cheating. It's not cheating.
Man, I'm a completionist, okay? I'm ADD. I have to get all the side quests, man. Any game that has like, oh, you can finish the game in 60 minutes or you can complete all the side quests in 4 days. That's my kind of game. I need all the side quests, but and then so the comic book, this Zelda comic book that came out in the early 90s went for 1,509.8. That's the number one. I would say this is probably the most like video game franchise comic books. This is probably the one that I think will hold value versus like Mario, honestly. And this is crazy. So I looked at other Zelda games. This one is the one that goes for the most. Not Ocarina, not Nintendo 1, or not Zelda 1, Zelda 2, but A Link to the Past, sealed now. It's sealed. Went for $6,000 back in April. That's in a down market and a down economy.
I wonder if it's like a limited number type of deal. Like, how did they make less of those because it was a more expensive system at the time?
I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, I think nostalgia, obviously, number one is what hits it, and then number two, it could be that, Jason. I don't know. But yeah, and I saw another one in March go for $10,000. Best offer accepted. Damn. And that's not graded. That's just sealed, man. So that's a lot of money to put towards an ungraded video game. 5 figures. Because they could have resealed it. I don't know enough to know. Like, I would never put that much money because of my expertise is so low, but I don't know if there's a way to check like a date stamp or like a watermark, something like that. But well, cool. That was a lot of fun. You guys definitely educated me more than I thought. Or I guess you guys educated me more. Period. Yeah. So it was kind of a fun list to go through. There was a lot of prop games that I wanted to put on, but they didn't have any comic books related to it, which is why you're probably wondering, hey, where's Final Fantasy, for example, or there's another one that's pretty popular. I don't know. There's a couple that I couldn't find comic book related.
Yeah.
So,
but what about The Walking Dead? Comic book, show, video game.
I didn't even know there was a video game.
Yeah, it's actually comic based video game from what's it called? I forget the company that makes that type of games, but it's storyline driven, and you take little actions to move the story along, and depending on what you decide, it changes the outcome of the game.
No, I didn't know. That's definitely like
Telltale company. I think it's Telltale. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, Walking Dead is the 2000s greatest grail independent comic book ever, I would say. But no, I didn't know that. That they had a video game. I was gonna put whatchamacallit,
Batman.
What was it? What's that?
Is it Batman? A lot of video games with Batman and comics.
Yeah, I wanted to put like more video game related, like video game first and then comic book, that kind of thing. But I couldn't. The one I was thinking of was The Last of Us, because it's kind of a newer one. And I mean, talk about nostalgia, right? There's so much data on that one. I didn't want to. And I played it. I don't really like, I don't remember it being like, oh man, this is like one of my favorite games ever.
We can save it for the next episode. Huh?
Yeah, I'll save it for the next one. Yeah. The next time you come on.
That's right.
Yeah. So, in closing, like, what I wanted to kind of bring up the main purpose of the show was, and Manuel, you probably have the most exposure to this compared to me and Jason, just because you have three boys, 2 boys. Your boys are more like very more video game into than like comic book reading for sure, and it kind of makes sense just with the way that digital is just taking over physical form. I don't have the link for it right now, but I posted in our Discord. Last year, 2022, 77% of all video game buys, so across the board, Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, what have you, was digital. 22% was physical. So as we keep going down the road, and Vinny kind of brought this up to me, you're going to see less. There's going to be a time where digital is just going to be like 99% of all video game purchases, and like 1% is going to be physical. Because why would Nintendo keep making these if it costs them more to do it, hire people to wrap these up and distribute, and then they have to make a deal with Target or whomever, versus like I'm here, I can just download the freaking game on my phone or what have you, whatever system it is. It's just
especially sold the same price, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you go to the retail store, they sell you the same price as the digital version, and then less money's being spent to make a digital version because that's already exists. It already exists. You just download it. Yeah, it's gonna go the other way. I think you're correct. So maybe for the collectors out there, start buying this stuff because it might be worth more in the future because there's gonna be less of it.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, I mean that's it's like, and then like with comic books, I mean the only guys who are really buying comics right now are like 35 to 50-year-old dudes, and like your boys aren't going to the comic book store with their $20 or whatever to buy Miles Morales. They're gonna get the action figure. Or I don't even know if they're getting the action figure. They're more likely to buy the video game. They don't really care about the comic books. And they probably think it's cool, but they're not like down for it like we are, that nostalgia kind of thing. So just want to highlight that and compare like the prices and just kind of where they're at. And Jason, did you have any closing thoughts for us today?
No.
Just
go watch the Mariners get destroyed.
No, don't watch the Mariners. They don't spend money. They don't spend money on the team. They don't care about the team.
Golf tournaments on TV, so I can go watch the golf tournament until the what is it, UW women's softball game later.
I don't care.
I think they got to play Stanford.
I don't care about UW. They suck. Anyway, well, thanks, Manuel, for coming through. We'll have you definitely on again for another video game segment. Maybe the boys can join you next time if
Thanks
they want.
for having me. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then Pickles, you can go fuck yourself, and I don't like you. Everyone, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next week.